How are you, Phyllis?
So, Maggie, how
Yeah.
bad is the noise where I am?
What's that?
Does it does it sound super noisy to your ears?
No, no. Is something going on in the background?
I can't even hear you. Let's
Oh.
try this again.
Effective.
Now that you said that, I see it right away.
And so last question, how does this artist show space and movement? You already talked some about this, mentioning the sense of depth created through these arcs, bringing your eye in and this light behind them. What about movement? How does this artist show movement within the painting?
The repetition and the variance between the symmetry lines creates a rhythm and pattern, which shows movement.
If
Absolutely.
you see the elephant, it looks like it's walking. And also that under what I saw as a bridge, it looks like water moving.
The use of tints and shades in color.
Mhm. Yeah, so we're noticing repetition, creating a rhythm, noticing the lines of symmetry, the reflective symmetry, creating the sense of water moving, and also how color is creating a sense of depth and movement as well. So to recap briefly what we've just been doing together, and we could talk about this painting much longer, I'm sure. So we first approached it from the perspective of mathematicians, right? Looking for geometry within the painting, looking for concepts like shapes, line segments, angles, symmetry. And then we also analyzed how the artist uses geometry to construct the image to create this sense of a scene, and also creating the perception of depth in 2 dimensions and the sense of movement that we've been talking about, involving some more art vocabulary in our discussion, as well as geometry vocabulary. So in the Art of Math program, students look at several works of art like this one and make connections between these works of visual art and concepts that they are learning in math class.
I have a question. Is that
Yeah.
appropriate?
Absolutely.
I'm a music teacher, and so when I saw it, I didn't use art techniques. In fact, I couldn't answer your second question really correctly because I didn't understand what you were really asking for. So for a 4th grader, will they have had some of those concepts already before doing this, or will you decide to coax those kinds of vocabulary words like repetition and color and things out of them? How does that work then?
To put in pattern, rhythm, and beat.
Yes.
Right, but okay.
So first of all, this painting, we typically in the tour program would show it towards the end. So asking some of these questions after we've already been looking at other works of art together and talking about what they notice. So my approach is usually, rather than to kind of give a list of vocabulary, but to just ask students to describe what they see and use their own words to talk about it. And then sometimes in maybe paraphrasing back what a student is talking about or connecting different ideas, I might introduce some art vocabulary that is communicating the same idea, maybe in different terms. So bringing that vocabulary into the conversation. But I find in the times we've done this program with students, 4th grade, we've also adapted it for kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade. Students are able to describe what they see using their language. So we end up having really rich conversations about the artworks.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so just a little bit about this program, the Art of Math program. It started from a request that we received from a math teacher and an art teacher for a museum program for their fourth graders that would combine their study of geometry and visual art. So it was outside of we didn't have kind of an existing program really focused on art and math, but it was a really exciting opportunity to put something together and then develop it in collaboration with these teachers. So for this fourth grade museum visit, it fits in their curriculum towards the end of the spring semester during their unit on geometry. So that's why we're talking a lot about lines, angles, symmetry, these concepts that they're learning in class. And so during the museum visit, which we've done both online and in person, we looked together at a variety of artworks. These are some of the works we've looked at with students. And students connect what they see to what they've been learning in math class. So it's really asking them to make these connections, to connect what they're looking at with what they've been learning and to bridge between math and visual art. So sometimes this, takes some prompting, modeling a discussion initially and kind of introducing more of these connections between math and visual art. But then as we look at more works of art together, students are really making their own connections with what they've learned in math class and what they're seeing in the works of art. So this gives students an opportunity to review and reinforce geometry concepts and to apply that knowledge in this new arena. And at the same time, students gain awareness of the importance of math in visual art and are starting to develop some of this artistic vocabulary, like we were just talking about, and practice skills of visual literacy and critical thinking skills as well. And then students use this museum visit also to gain inspiration for creating their own original artworks that demonstrate their understanding of geometric concepts, which they then complete in art class in the weeks following the museum visit. So that's kind of how it fits into their curriculum. It's towards the end of their geometry unit. They come in for the museum visit and we look at these works of art together and think about connections between geometry and visual art. And then they're also gathering ideas they bring back to the art classroom and are creating their own artworks to demonstrate their understanding of those geometry concepts. So I, of course, wanted to share some examples of student artworks that they've made following the museum visit. And these are some works, some two-dimensional works that students have made following our online visits that we've done. The first two times we did this, we were online. So I'm wondering what geometry concepts we notice here that these students are demonstrating through their artwork.
Pattern, rhythm, movement. Looks great.
Absolutely. Yeah, and some symmetry too, I definitely notice in this butterfly. We also talk about using the different kinds of materials that artists use. So we see some of that here, use of found materials, fabric, collage as well. So I mentioned that the first 2 years that we did this program, we were on Zoom, and we facilitated by sharing pictures of works of art, like I'm doing in this presentation today, and talking about the artworks together. But this past spring, we had the opportunity to have the students in the museum for the program for the first time. And that was a really exciting opportunity to also incorporate more student-directed exploration in the galleries into the visit. This is our awesome group of fourth graders that we welcomed into the museum. And part of what we did was have conversations together about a work of art, like I modeled at the start of this talk, but also they created their own concept banks, thinking of what geometry concepts they were learning in their geometry unit, brainstorming together at the start of the visit to fill in this concept bank here. And then they worked in small groups to go through the galleries and find works of art that they could make connections between the artwork and the geometry concepts in their concept bank, and then to bring that back to share with the rest of their classmates. So in addition to thinking about how artworks connected to specific geometric concepts, students were also, and this was a request from the art teacher, really encouraged to notice the materials that artists were using and the techniques that they were using and the range of 2-dimensional as well as 3-dimensional artworks. And I think although the program has been awesome over Zoom, this was an exciting opportunity to focus on these qualities of the art in the museum when students were looking in person with the works of art, and then to use that as inspiration for creating their original artworks. So I have some more examples here of student work. These are some works in process that students created back in the classroom following this most recent in-person visit at the museum. And many students after this visit chose to create 3-dimensional sculptures rather than 2-dimensional works. And some students also responded to the experience of being in a museum. For many, it was their first time in a museum, coming out of the last few years of pandemic and being 4th graders. And so some of this translated into their artworks. I love we have kind of two kind of extremes here. One, a work of art that's encouraging active engagement, a kinetic sculpture here with a ball and a net. And we talked about some works of art in the museum that are interactive and kinetic. And here a student on the right that seems to have been really responding to the experience of seeing artwork in a museum and learning about keeping artwork safe by not touching it, but also responding to things like the architectural space, seeing 2-dimensional and 3-dimensional artworks, and encountering object labels with titles and artist name, and incorporating all of that into her sculpture here as well. All right, so these are a couple of the learning resources that Phyllis has linked to in the chat. And we have, so coming out of this Art of Math program that we have facilitated over Zoom, now with multiple grade levels and also had in the museum, we also used it as the basis for creating some interactive student-facing learning resources that live on our website now. So 2 of these that are STEAM related are the Symbols in Art and Math and the Art and Scientific Method learning guides that focus on 1 or 2 works of art. And then we also have developed some further ones that fit in more with ELA and with social studies curriculum. So I think I can, let's see if this will let me link out here. Are you able to see my my browser?
Not yet. We can't see it just yet.
I think
Okay.
you have to end screen share and then restart screen share.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
All right, sorry about that.
While she's getting that ready, I have to comment that photograph of the students sitting on the floor in the circle with that reflective ball above their heads that actually showed the students themselves in that art space was such a great image. Thank you for sharing it.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the teachers had requested that we take that image. She kind of, said, okay, let's all sit really nicely. So they weren't all that organized throughout the entire visit, of course, but it was a great photo op.
Yes.
All right. Are we able to see my browser now? Great. Okay, so I just wanted to briefly go through one of these learning resources to give you a sense of what it is. So this is the Symbols in Art and Math one that evolved out of the Art of Math program, but is just focusing on a single work of art, kind of in more of a bite-sized approach. So in this work, in this learning resource, we look at a work by Alfred Jensen, an artist who's fascinated by the meaningful patterns found in number systems in order to explore the role of symbols in both art and math. So the guide takes students through looking at this painting What do we notice? So some of the questions that we started with when looking at the bridge painting at the start of today. Noticing patterns. So sharing some about the painting, and that Jensen is painting ancient Chinese numerals. So we have a number system here, as well as pattern, color. So it shares some context about the artwork, and then walks students through the magic squares that are embedded within the painting. So these are actually math puzzles embedded inside this painting, which I think is very cool, that you can decode. So it invites students to use the key for the ancient numerals, aligning them with Roman numerals, and then they're able to decode the magic squares inside the painting and come up with the solution that the sum of the horizontal, vertical, and diagonal lines should all be the same. So we can figure out that the solution to that is 15, that they all add up to 15, no matter which direction you go in any of these squares. So this is just one of the kind of bite-sized learning resources that evolved out of this Art of Math program. Okay, I'm going to stop my share and switch back over to the PowerPoint.
While you're switching to that PowerPoint, Olivia, I was curious about the grade level of the students that worked with that magic square piece.
Yeah, so we did that with 4th grade, and it took, you know, we went through it slowly, but they had a lot of success with that, solving the puzzles in it. Let's see. Yeah, so this is showing just where these live on our website, and I'd love to share out this link. So we have more of these digital learning resources in our K-12 learning collection here that have all grown out from in-person programs or tours that we've done with students in the classroom or in the museum, and have translated those into online learning experiences. Okay, so now that I've talked some about the Art of Math program, I'd like to briefly introduce some of our other K-12 tours and programs. So as I mentioned, the Art of Math program is an example of a custom tour that we developed in collaboration with teachers to meet the needs of their students and to fit into their curriculum. And collaborating directly with the visual art teacher and a subject area teacher really enabled us to create a museum program that met their specific learning goals for their students. And we really love doing this type of collaborative work with teachers when we have the opportunity. So we really welcome people to reach out and say, something that I don't see, I have in mind something that I don't see on your website or in your tour offerings, but I have this idea for a program I'd like to involve art with. I'd like to come into the museum or have you zoom into my classroom. So we welcome those opportunities to be able to create programs that can integrate art into your classroom. So, but beyond those kind of custom programs, we do have tour offerings that are listed on our website. And some of these are designed to integrate art with other subject areas. So for example, we have the narratives in art, which is focused on how artists tell their stories with images and fits in with ELA curriculum. Another example is the Art and Social Change tour, which focuses on how artists call attention to social, political, and cultural issues and fits in well with some social studies curriculum. And so if you're interested in involving your class with the museum, either through a custom program that we can develop in collaboration, or by bringing your students in for a tour at the museum, or an online tour with one of our existing tour offerings, I'd love to hear from you. You're welcome to reach out to me via my email here. And I really hope that I can see some of you all or your students in the museum. And now I think I may have gone a little bit over my allotted time, so I apologize for that. And I'd be really happy to answer any questions or just continue the conversation.
We always try to be really flexible with the time. Are there any questions for Olivia? Feel free to unmute if you just want to say your question, and if you want to reach out to her after. Diane, go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, I am a question person. The Chinese math symbols piece, I thought that was an African art piece. I thought that was an African textile piece. So before you explained what it was. So I wondered if you can do a correlation, like if you start out with that project on the math symbols and then somehow coordinate it with West African symbolic art.
Mm. Yeah, I think that that's a great connection. I mean, this was just looking at one artwork in isolation, but I think that a larger program, larger tour could definitely be constructed out of thinking about the function of symbol in math and art and other examples of art, and then looking for those formal relationships too in the use of pattern, the use of color in artwork from different cultures and by different artists. I think that's an awesome idea.
It's one of the reasons I get so excited in these sessions is that y'all make connections that other people didn't think of, and it just makes the work stronger. So thank you so much for both your question and the answer, Olivia. Any other questions for Olivia?
How far in advance should we schedule a visit?
So it's great if we can have 2 weeks prior notice to schedule a visit to make sure we can get you in the calendar and arrange transportation, things like that. But yeah, I'd love to, if you are interested in bringing students, I'd love to talk more about what you have in mind.
Yeah, Olivia, if you don't mind, put your email address in the chat so it's a live link
Absolutely.
that people can click on and then start their email message to you so that they can follow up outside. And I really hope that all of you, if you made connections in either the breakout group or in this group, you've got ideas that are percolating, feel free to reach out to those other members of the network. We're all stronger when we are working together. Any final questions for Olivia before we bring today to a close?
I have a question. Where's my hand in the thing? How many, what size groups can you, okay, I mean, is there a limit to how many can participate?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we can accommodate groups of up to around 60 students by breaking into smaller groups within the galleries and having multiple educators leading those groups. So if we want to keep everyone together, we have a max of around 20, but we can go bigger than that by breaking into groups.
And how many adults are leading the tour?
So we would have one museum educator for each group of students in the galleries, but we also have ask that there are chaperones for larger groups as well. And I can actually we have a packet of information all about bringing your students to the museum and information about chaperones and transportation. If is there a way I could share that with folks?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Send it my way, or if it's, I don't know if it's online, that you could put a link in the chat, whatever makes you happy, that we can help get it connected.
Okay, I'll send that to you then Phyllis, if that works.
Sure.
If you have a way to distribute.
Is it like a PDF, Olivia?
It's a PDF.
Sounds great. Diane's got 2 fingers up. I think that means.
Question. Are your projects and tours available all year round so that summer camps can also take advantage?
Yes, absolutely. Would love to have summer camps come in as well, where not just during the school year semesters, all seasons.
All righty. Well, if you didn't get your question answered, if you have one, please feel free to reach out to Olivia at the Kemper and see how you can make those connections or make connections with others who are here in our Missouri Arts Integration Network session today. to bring the rest of our time together to a close, I'll just remind you that next month's main event, September 26th, features part 2 of Rachel Lemire, who works with the lab school students at Stevens College in Columbia, Missouri. And I have the link here, but I will make it a live link and tuck it into the chat if you are interested in registering for next month's offering. In October, we have not yet selected a presenter. So if you're here today and you think you would like to share what's going on in your world, please reach out to me and we will get you booked. I sent out a plea to about 15 people earlier this weekend, I guess, and waiting to hear back some confirmation of certain dates. So even if it doesn't work out that you're the October person, if you are interested in sharing, we are interested in showcasing the work that you're doing to integrate the arts in Missouri. So please reach out. If you didn't know already, we have other professional learning communities, one that is just for fine arts educators and one that deals with issues related to inclusion, diversity, and equity in the arts. And those meet Fine Arts Missouri Educators, FAME, meets once a month, as does Maine, the one you're at today, and IDEA meets quarterly, just 4 times a year. So, finally, we are grateful to our sponsors and our contributors that help bring this programming to you free of charge. And we are also seeking to ensure our financial sustainability. Your tax deductible contributions are always welcome. You are invited to be one of our allies and one of our donors. If you need continuing ed credit, just let me know and I can get a certificate to you. And finally, I'm going to share with you a link. I'll put it in the chat, but I'll also follow up via email. We collect data on each one of our sharings. Where's my chat button? Sorry, here we go. So here is a link in the chat to this evaluation form. If you filled one out recently, you can take what I call the short road, where you are just filling out basic responses on today's presentation. If you've not filled one out before, we would really appreciate you sharing information about your particular demographics, because many times when we are applying for grants, they want to know about ethnicity or other sorts of information in terms of the clients that we are reaching. So if you would be so kind as to complete that survey, it really does help us improve. We're always open to feedback, suggestions, and comments to make these sessions more meaningful for you. And I'm just so thankful to all of you for coming today. Is everybody finished with the QR code and I can stop sharing on this stuff? Okay, and there's the link in the chat too. So I'll be following up with each of you to get the PDF that Olivia is going to send out, and then the eval form if you haven't had a chance to capture it yet. Thank you for coming, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I will hopefully see you all in September on the 26th.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Nice to see you all. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
This was great, Phyllis. Really, really good.
Glad you enjoyed it, Diane. My pleasure, even from low San Antonio, Texas. Thank goodness for Zoom. I can Zoom anywhere. Bye, Cecile.